My name is Greta Lin. I am good. I'm a little bit wet. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm very excited to be here. My pre-show ritual, I usually drink a lot of water, ice water. I don't eat a lot because I get the dry heaves. And I just try to, listen to good podcasts or music just to get my mind off of the stage fright.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Great. Are you excited for tonight?
I am very excited. I just cannot believe that this is like the first venue that I did, my first paid show. So it feels like a full circle moment. And yeah, I met so many good comedians in this little green room and outside. So just feels so special to be here tonight.
We love to make you laugh. You're very, really with all the jokes we have. You're very, really that's why we do what we do. You're very, really we love to make you laugh. You're very, really Vancouver, we love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.
Welcome to the stage, Greta Lin!
Hello! Hi! Oh my gosh, such a good looking crowd. I love it. East fan. Love that. I came with good news, you guys. I just became a Canadian citizen. I'm an immigrant. Can you tell I'm an immigrant? Yeah. Y'all are smart. Because it's a trick question, right? You can't say yes. Yeah, if you do, it means you're either a racist, right? Or you're from border control. You need to deport me. And it's not looking good either way, so yeah. I'm glad. Yeah, it's interesting. I've been here almost 10 years, people. And there's in this 10 years, I learned so much about myself that I didn't know before. And one thing in particular is how much I'm scared of law enforcement. All of them. No exception. The police people, security, my mom, right? Very scary, guys. Yeah, for the police in particular, because I feel like immigrants, we have a weird relationship with the police, right? Growing up, it's conditioned in my head to believe that if you see a police officer, you just agree with them. You don't say anything else, right? So if you ever catch me being pulled over, damn, I will be thank you so much. How much is the fine? I pay double. I'll definitely leave when my visa's done. Still here, I'm not leaving. Yeah, I actually thought about it some more and I realized I'm actually living the Canadian dream, you guys. Do you know what it is? It's overstaying your welcome. We're not leaving. Yeah. I'm Chinese. I'm the Chinese kind of immigrant. A lot of us here, it's great. When people find out I'm Chinese, they always wanted to ask me where's the best place to get Chinese food here. And it's very easy to tell. I'm going to let you in on some Asian secrets, okay? And I'm not about to gatekeep, right? Because white people deserve good Chinese food too. So here's a few things we look for in a Chinese restaurant, okay? Before you even go in, right? And if you see a bunch of line cooks outside smoking and just squatting, that's a good Chinese restaurant. Go in, yeah. Yeah, or else, if your waitress throws your plate at you like a frisbee, it's a good Chinese restaurant. Yeah. Well, yeah, we can play a game. If you're white, grab a non-white friend, right? If you're not white, grab a white friend. If they treat the white person like they're the king, right? And a non-white person like they just came out of the gulag, that's a really good Chinese restaurant. Trust the quality, okay? Yeah. Last thing you can do, you can order something, right? Actually order something if you're in a restaurant, but you can ask them if you can make it vegan and gluten-free. And if the waitress tells you to go eat somewhere else, right? That's a really good Chinese restaurant. So order everything. Yeah. Man. Anyone here have kids? We have any parents? Just one person. Friends up. Bless your heart. Okay. Yeah, white people have the worst kids. Yeah, that's another immigrant observation. Honestly, it's not coming from a place of like hate or like judgment, you know, like I'm not like that. I think it's actually from a place of just deep, deep jealousy of things that like I couldn't get away with as a Chinese kid versus what a white kid can get away with, right? Like calling their parents by their first name. Yeah, can't do that. If I do that, I wouldn't have parents anymore. Yeah, under emergency contact, I'll have to put God. Just praying someone would like pick me up, right? Man, another thing, white kids, like a lot of my white friends, their kids don't listen to them. And it's really frustrating, you know? I have this one friend had to take their son in for like a hearing exam because they thought he's like not able to hear. Turns out he's just a bitch. 3-year-old, still a bitch. What are you gonna do, have another one, right? Yeah. Another thing, oh my gosh, yeah, like I feel like white kids, I'm so jealous that white kids just get rewarded for doing the bare minimum. Like the whole concept of a tooth fairy. You're just rewarding them for aging properly now. That's, in this economy, why are we doing that? No. Like, I can't even imagine me doing that. Like, imagine if I just go to my mom with a tooth and be like, can I get $10? How much do people pay for teeth these days? What's the going rate? Is that too much? Like inflation though, like it's gas prices. Kids should unionize, that's what it is. Kids should unionize more than $10. Anyways, right? If I go and be like, can I get $10, right? My mom would be like, if I give you 20, can I break your legs too? It's insane. Kids. Love them. Won't have them. Love them. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm just a very cheap person. I think that's why I wouldn't have kids. I'm just cheap. Right? I do this kind of thing where like I go to a restaurant and I say it's my birthday and I get a free cake. Have you done that? Do it. Scam the corporations, not small businesses. Go to white spots, ask for free cake. It's fine, right? Or I do this thing where I go to like on a trip with my partner and I tell everyone it's our honeymoon and I get an upgrade, right? It's very nice. But I have this one friend that takes it one step further, you guys. She takes her daughter on a trip and tells everyone it's her make-a-wish. I know. I'm cheap, but I'm not that cheap, right? But my boyfriend, he's like smart, he's entrepreneurial. He's like, Greta, we should do it for your next trip. It could be your make-a-wish. And I was like, honey, we're going to the Nanaimo. Whose make-a-wish is Nanaimo? What am I supposed to tell them? We're supposed to be Disney World, but Florida takes 3 days on a cruise, and she can't fly. Bad for her heart. I don't know. My boyfriend. Don't have them if you can. Just don't have them. No. I'm just gonna leave on this one for you guys. You guys have been so fun. So I grew up a very self-conscious kid. I didn't like myself. I thought I was really ugly. That's fine. But it's fixed now. I found something that forever fixed my insecurities, and that's piercings. Yeah, because if you don't know, right, if you don't like a body part, just put a piercing in it. You will like it better right away. Yeah, that's why I have a nose ring, right? And 5 nipple rings, you guys. I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm really confident. Thank you.
One more time for Greta Lin.
As much as I love being on stage and interacting with people, what I love the most about stand-up comedy is actually the off-stage time where I actually get to connect with the audience members, and like nothing beats like audience member coming up to you and be like, I really love your stuff. And especially I've had interactions of women of color, people that look like me coming up to me and feel like they feel represented just simply by me being there on the show. That's like my favorite moments. That's such a tricky question. So what I like the least about stand-up comedy is because it's performed by people and people are just inherently very broken. A lot of the times comedians can say things without actually thinking much through the impact and consequences, and therefore it hurt a lot of people in the process, and that doesn't feel good, you know, whenever someone say things without thinking of the impact and people are hurt in the process, including myself and my jokes. That doesn't feel great. I think comedy that inspires me are often from people and communities that are marginalized, so I have often find comedians that are on the margins to be very funny and impactful of how I want to do my comedy. So more, for example, like Joachim Booster, how he speaks on, you know, a person of color experience, but also someone who grew up in a very Christian and conservative culture as a gay person. That just, every time I listen to him speak, it blows my mind. And someone like Aparna Nancherla, who talks a lot about her experience, not only as an Indian woman in the United States, but also her struggle with mental health and being able to say it in such a lighthearted and funny way. It has always been so fun and interesting for me to hear. I love those perspectives. Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, I loved comedy since I was a kid. I remember I grew up in China and I grew up on Stephen Chow movies that are just slapstick humor and just absolutely ridiculous, and I just knew that I just love to make people laugh because I love when people make me laugh. And so one of my earliest memories of stand-up comedy is by this Hong Kong comedian. His name is Dayo Wong. And in his comedy, it deals with a lot of cultural issues and a lot of deep political issues, and he was able to make it really lighthearted in a culture that's very conservative. So it was right during the time where the Hong Kong handover happened, and he spoke into a lot of what Hong Kong people feel at the time, dealing with, you know, a brand new culture that they have to assimilate into now. And he has this one bit that's a musical comedy talking about how the mainland Chinese currency and the Hong Kong currency impacted each other, and I've never seen anything like that before. And I was 9 years old and it blew my mind. And I didn't understand what it was until years later when I started doing comedy myself. Yeah. I started doing comedy as an improviser. I tried improv for like about a year or so, and I loved improv, but a lot of times I feel like I don't particularly have a lot of control over a lot of my performances, and I often find myself just on the sideline admiring all my teammates doing improv and doing such great work. And I wanted to explore an art form where I have a little bit more handle on what I want to say on stage and has a little bit more control over my material. So I started trying out stand-up comedy, and I just didn't stop because I love it so much. It's so much fun. My first time doing stand-up comedy was at a local open mic called Crumbie Comedy. I just finished like a little online course on stand-up comedy, and I felt like I'm ready to say it in front of people. So when I did it, and I was so nervous, I I don't particularly remember a lot of my jokes, but I have this one joke in there about how Canada Goose jackets has duck feathers instead of goose down, and how Canada Duck is not as good of a name as Canada Goose. It's so silly, but yeah, that was my first stand-up memory. Yeah, I think one strange advice I've gotten was how I shouldn't start my own show unless I'm 5 years into doing comedy. And I was like, oh, I wonder why. But no, I produce my own show now, and I'm only 2 years in, so. The best advice I've ever received was how in the 10 jokes or premises you write, 9 of them are garbage and 1 is great. And that's kind of what writing process is like, is to write a bunch and filter out the garbage and find the great. And that's kind of how I approach joke writing now. It's just write a bunch and find a gem. But what I can tell people is just, if you want to try stand-up comedy, just do it, you know? Like, nothing is stopping you. Like, what's the worst that can happen? People don't laugh at your jokes. Like, that's kind of what you have to deal with every day anyways if you're a comic, is to just deal with people not laughing, and it's okay. So do it. I write a lot of my jokes actually when I go to watch other people perform, because I often are inspired by comics that are often having like similar experiences than me. So when I go watch local shows that are just a lot of, you know, queer people and person of color, I get inspired by their jokes and I write down what I wanted to say, and I just workshop it from there. Yeah. I'm an awkward person, so whenever something happened, I think I just let it happen. Like, I just embrace my inner awkwardness and don't try to have it all together, because the truth is nobody in the room has it all together and they find it relatable sometimes. So I will acknowledge that when people are not laughing, that they don't like the joke, and people often just laugh because they feel bad, I guess. But I try to not let it get into my head and just have fun and be in the moment and engage, and acknowledging that not everything is perfect and it doesn't have to be. I used to tweak my set a lot depending on the audience members, because I am scared of how people would see me. But like, now I've been performing for a little bit, I realize that no matter how I adjusted myself, audience members just have a first impression of you within 10 seconds of you starting, and there's nothing you can do to change it. So it's better that I just be myself and let other people judge me than judging myself first before everybody has an opinion. So I try not to adjust it and just let people take in all of this. Yeah, I think I heard a comedian said this once and it really resonated with me. It was, a joke is finished for you when you don't have fun saying it anymore. So I try to not let any of my joke get to that point, but sometimes I say something and for me it's not true anymore, it doesn't resonate with me anymore, and I don't have fun saying it. And audience members are not stupid, they can tell. So for me, a joke is done for the season whenever I feel that way, but sometimes it surprises me. Sometimes it comes back, I recycle it, and I find new joy in finding new tags or having different people laugh at it. So it's a combination, I guess, but yeah. Yeah, I think just over the short time that I've been doing comedy, I've seen a lot of newer comedians take the stage and organizing shows and putting together mics for the benefit of our community and the audience members, and that's super encouraging to see because in entertainment industry, in comedy in general, can feel very gatekeepy, and I think a new generations of comedians like myself and people that have started comedy around the same time that I did, it's creating a new status quo of like who gets to be on shows, who gets to do shows, what kind of comedy is considered funny. So yeah, it's super encouraging to see. Yeah, I can think of a few. I think one show in particular was at the New Moon Backyard show on my birthday. I got way too drunk before I went. I had so much sangria, and I remember like holding my boyfriend and was just like, I am so drunk, I can't do this. But I went on and it just ended up being like the most fun 10 minutes I've ever done. And I felt so relaxed and I felt so in my element because not only it's my birthday and I get to do something I love on my birthday, but also I feel just like so supported because it was like lots of women of color on the show, lots of women of color and queer audience members. It just warms my heart. It makes me so happy. Yeah. Oh, I honestly love that joke so much. Personally, it's one of my favorite because for me, it has so many layers in it, and it kind of encompasses my identity as a joke almost, because for the people that get it, they get it, right? Like they get that Canada is an extremely broken country with a lot of false promises. But for the people who doesn't get it, it's still lighthearted in many ways. But for me, as an immigrant, when I first moved to this country, it was so like Canada was sold to me to be this place of inclusivity and amazing abundance and lots of opportunities, and like Canadians are so nice and you will fit right in because everyone's an immigrant, right? But the truth is that's just not true. Like I came to Canada and there's just a lot of barriers that I had to jump through, and it's just, yeah. Anyways, yeah, like it was sold to me to be this place of dream, but I came here and it was just not true. Like I had so much barriers and things to jump through that I had to really compromise on a lot of things. And halfway through being here, I realized, oh, this country is not what I had imagined it to be. And you know, as an immigrant, so much of my life is to feel like an outsider. You know, 10 years of being in Canada is 10 years of feeling like I don't belong. But it's not until I realized that this country is deeply flawed and everyone in this country is deeply flawed and hurt that I realized, oh, we're all just in this together. Like, we're all uninvited and we're all immigrants, and we all have so much work collectively to do for reconciliation, for reparation, for making progresses and making it right to everyone. So, yeah.
We love to make you laugh with all the jokes we have. That's why we do what we do. You're why we are funny. Richmond to Surrey, Delta and Deep Cove. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. Vancouver, we love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.